Someone just gave us a 2-star review on Airbnb and I need to talk about it. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Donatella and we have an Airbnb at the back of our London home. We've been hosting for about 6 months now. We've also earned Superhost title, so this 2-star review kind of cuts a bit deep and I'm really trying not to take it personally. Now, I could not share this story with you guys, but I take you on every single road when it comes to the Airbnb and my life, so it would be really fake of me not to share this. But what I want to do is I want to talk you through the situation and show you the conversations that I had with this person, because personally I think it's a harsh review. Nonetheless, they've left it and it is what it is, but here's how it went down. I'm going to start off with their review. I'm obviously going to hide all their details because this really isn't to like name and shame anyone, and obviously want to keep their details private, but basically they said that they had 2 cold showers, fuse box tripped out, which is not true. What he meant is that the boiler tripped out and then back on at the fuse box. TV control didn't work. I've checked this and the TV controller is fine, so I'm not really sure what happened there. The next one he wrote is bathroom locks itself, couldn't have a shower for half an hour. Now, what happens is if they twist the lock on the inside, which is what one of them would have done, and you shut the door, it'll lock it, but I'll show you how that situation was fixed in a second. And the cooker was difficult to work as no instructions. Again, that is also in the chat. Firstly, these guests booked on the same day that they were checking in. He sent me a message at 4:12 p.m. saying that they were about an hour and 20 minutes away, and then a bit below just asked for the postcode so they knew where they were going. I replied 10 minutes after, being like, it's okay, it's a last minute booking, I've turned the place over, it'll be ready for you when you get here. All approved, sent him the check-in details. The first message he sent was at 6 a.m. the next day, and it said that they were having trouble turning off the oven and if they could have a guide to do it. So I replied at 8:48 a.m. because bear in mind I was not up at 6 a.m. but saying that they can get my mobile number, so if it was a real urgent issue they could call me directly, which they didn't do. And so I said, when you say off, do you mean so it's not cooking something or like turn it off electrically? I said that it's an electric oven and that you just spin it by turning the wheel back so the little dot is facing the top. Now I'm actually going to show you guys the oven and what it looks like, because to me it should have been obvious, but I was really confused why they were confused as to how to turn off the oven. But anyway, I told them basically how to do it, and I said that I was on a school run, but if they needed more help to let me know. And at this point it's all very good, like we're sending each other kisses. So this is the oven and it has 2 nozzles. One has pictures around it and one doesn't, so obviously this one is just to turn things up and down. Well, that's what people would usually think. Now on here you've got the microwave settings on the right and the oven settings on the left, and to turn it off it's just got that dot at the bottom. So they were confused to basically put this back here, which would take it back to the clock. Now, like I said to him in my reply, it was really unusual that he was struggling to turn the oven off because no one's really had any issues with it until now. But I did say that we would put the guide in there because if that's going to help any future guests, it's really like the bare minimum that we can do. The next message came on the same day at 4:46 p.m. and it said that the bathroom door is locked. We aren't able to open it. I just nipped to the shop. My friend Steve is there at the moment if you could pop round. I said no worries at all, this happens now and then. We've left a spare key in the cutlery drawer under the hob. Previous guests also used it, so they should put it back in, but if you can't find it, let me know. What I will say about this is when he replied, he said, oh, thank you, it was his fault, which is really weird that in the review he wrote that it locks itself. Like, I just feel like it was a series of unfortunate events and then he was like nitpicking, which I thought was really strange. But anyway, this was fixed. Now at 5:07 p.m. he then messaged me to say the hot shower and the water is not working, it's been cut off, and it looks like the box has no lights on, which would mean that the electric boiler in itself has tripped for some reason. It does it now and then. We've had people looking at it, they can't find out why it does it. But anyway, we've added it into the guidebook that this might happen, and in the guidebook not only does it tell you how to do it, but there are pictures as to like guide you through. But what became very apparent from the messages that they were sending us is that they weren't reading the guidebook. So it's fine. We are here to help and that's absolutely fine. Now I replied and I said, sounds like it's stripped out the fuse box. If you go to the TV above the box and flick it back on, it should turn the boiler back on. And I said, usually if you turn it off and on the boiler itself, it will take it back to the normal setting as shown in the guidebook. Every time he messaged, I did try and lead him back to the guidebook because rather than him having to wait for me to message, all the answers were in there, except for the bathroom key. That one I do need to add in there. But then I said at the bottom, let me know if you're still having trouble and I'll pop round. He never replied. This was the last message until they checked out that I sent or that we sent to each other. Like there was no reply to this. When I took a closer look at his review, I wanted to see like how many stars he'd given us for certain things. And then for check-in, he gave us 2 stars and it says unclear instructions. Now, I want to show you guys the instructions that we give. I physically do not understand how I could make them more clear. Now, these are the instructions that we send to everyone. I literally copy and paste this message, but this is what I sent him after he'd asked about, you know, the inquiry basically. Obviously taking out all the private details, but it has our address here and it says the entrance to the name of the place is on the next street's name, through the gate by the big tree. To get the keys, it's a self check-in service. I put the description there. If there's anything else that you need during your stay, please do not hesitate to reach out. We hope you have a good stay. To add insult to injury for the check-in, when I was going to the shop, I saw them pulling up. I said hi to him. I reiterated the directions and the instructions to him in person, but somehow the instructions were still unclear. And I feel like at that point it was nitpicking, and it's hard to like not take that personally, but I'm trying really hard not to. For cleanliness, he gave us a 4, which I mean, I feel like he really couldn't argue at how clean the place was. I would have eaten my hair if he said it wasn't clean. But in the accuracy, he put heater wasn't what I expected. They had a couple issues, completely failed that. And then communication 3, which I thought again was like a strange one because I got back to every question, but he also could have got my number to reach out to me directly. But the moral of this situation is that it's definitely a learning curve. We're going to revisit the guidebook and add a few more bits in there to just help out anyone who might also struggle in these ways. We just have to take it on the chin because it's like the reality of what it is. At the end of the day, it's up to us to make improvements.